I just feel like I'm riding better up here than I have in ages. And that's all down to this bike. Happy days on the new Hightower. Phew! Oh, it's a mojo finder. My name's Guy Kesterman, and I've been reviewing bikes professionally since Santa Cruz was just a skateboard brand. And this is my live reaction review of the latest Santa Cruz Hightower V4 twin 29er 160mm 150mm travel all-rounder. So what's new and what does that mean to how it rides on some of my favourite trails? Well, the great news is, for those of you that watched my Bronson video and saw how upset I got about how that pedalled with the new anti-squat kinematic, is that just coming out of the car park, I've already established this new Hightower pedals just fine. We're on, baby. It is game on Ilkley Moor. And I am so hyped on that because, you know, Hightower is still the all-round trail bike in the Santa Cruz arsenal. And it still feels, even with, you know, anti-squat has gone down for sure, but it's now 130, 120 rather than 110% at sag, 120 at top out on the Bronson. And even with that max grip soft front tyre slowing the roll down a bit, you can feel the effect of the twin 29er wheels straight away. Morning. It's just a much more positive experience, even on punishing sections of altitude gain like this. Oh yes. And if you've watched my tech check video, you'll know that about 180 grams of that comes from the frame changes, and the rest is spec, not least these mega powerful Maven brakes. But yeah, I reckon so. And obviously you've got that degree steeper seat angle as well, so that puts you in a more poised position for climbing. But where this bike really should excel now is higher speed and bigger hits. So we're better to find that out than down the infamous Rocky Valley on the moor, because you got 160mm travel fork now, not 150, and then 150mm of travel at the rear rather than 145. And because the anti-squat is reduced, yeah, means it doesn't mean it doesn't pull back as much over flat impact. That was a lousy line. Or off the side tab for sorting it out. Doesn't pull back as much over square edges. It's much more smoother and connected elsewhere. So you're getting a more consistent, higher traction vibe out of this new Hightower. And you've probably noticed already that I'm a lot more confident just letting the bike smash into stuff and feeling like it'll sort it out, even on this first run, which is lucky. So I'm picking lines like an absolute idiot. Oh, just, and I know mullet's meant to turn well, but back end of this is actually shorter than the Bronson, and I remember riding that a couple of weeks ago on the Bronson, and frankly I made a right pig's ear of it. For all Santa Cruz lengthening that back end on the mullet bike, this immediately feels better balanced. I'm earlier off the Monster Maven brakes. I'm much happier pinning it through and into stuff and just letting it lean and do the work for me. And then wipe my nose when I get it wrong. Dropping in where it's normally a roll. Pushing through here, clipping pedals, knowing it's kind of got the travel to get me out of a lousy line choice. A 1265 wheelbase, obviously, nigh on 64-degree head angle, means it's not as nippy as a shorter, steeper bike, but when you're going into absolute off-piste loam carnage like this, having that stability up front is an absolute gift. Dropping in, Hightower, high expectations, run one, met. Genuine live using of the glove box to get some spares out.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely lovely to get some spares out and do the headset up. And also having that back end just lifted a little bit mechanically by less anti-squat just seems to match it much better with that 36 fork up front. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still very firm, very well damped, quite punishing fork, but it doesn't feel completely at odds with the back end. So again, that means the whole bike feels a lot more balanced and predictable. So I'm far happier. I'm just being me, I guess. It just lets me ride how I want to ride without thinking about it too much. And the result, it feels like I'm riding a whole lot better. And while most bikes are pretty sorted these days, there's only literally a handful when I've been testing that really stand out as almost perfectly balanced in terms of all speeds just being super poised. So whether you're kind of trying to track stand it in almost on a techie climb or just dropping into corners at high speed, this new Hightower is all over that. So yeah, it's a bit heavier, it's a bit slower on the climbs, but mixture of pedaling and poise is just unstoppable, it feels like today. And it's still kind of agile, alive and interested enough, lifting the bars or flicking the back wheel for this nadgery, pick and mix, bouldery, single track stuff on the moors, which I absolutely love. And it's got a genuine enthusiasm and appetite for it. It's not just slouching along like a grumpy teenager, wondering where the next downhill is. Give it a pedal, responds straight away, and then dips the nose in and cracks on. And I'm not saying I'm sprinting every metre of the ride like I'm on an XC bike, but I'm definitely almost enduro riding, so cruising between the high-tech sections and then nailing those. But sticky tyre on the front aside, it just feels efficient, helpful, no bother at all, rather than an impediment to progress and getting the miles in and going for a big day out. And that's with shock wide open, one click of low speed, about 30% sag. And it might seem weird how much I'm obsessing about that pedal to rear wheel interaction on this bike, but I've always felt that's such a strong suit of Santa Cruz bikes. It's why I've historically really liked them. So having that accurate, complete, connected muscle fiber to minion block interaction between foot and rubber, I just love it. So glad you're still getting it on this Hightower. And then when you do start getting into the rockier stuff, that back end just feels, it actually feels pretty supportive. Got quite a meaty mid-stroke to it, but then when you push deeper on it, super calm and collected, really lands beautifully, and it's a very precise and accurate feel up front still, compared to something like Canyon Spectral or Stump Jumper. As you'd expect, you know, there's a much lighter frame set alone on those, 2.7 kilos, around 3.7 on this Hightower, but don't know if it's the kinematic or what looks like a slimmer lower linkage, but definitely feels like there's more flex and flow to the back end of this bike. And again, I'm chalking that down as a good thing. Just adds a little more friendliness and warmth when you're working right on the edge of the tyres. See Commensal crushing it on the World Cup scene with tiny chainstays for details. And you've still got, we're getting the pedal in, go through all those other habitual Santa Cruz advantages, lifetime frame warranty, lifetime rim warranty on these reserve rims. Again, these are the heavier, stiffer, more precise HD rims rather than the SLs, but then that works with this burlier, more gravity oriented package. You've got tailgate armour, you've got belly armour, you've got those paddle flap section on the chainstay, both top and bottom, to keep the chain nice and quiet. Obviously it's a UD8 hanger, and while the CC frames are wireless only, C frames have cable ports, and neither of them go anywhere near the headset. So that's all nice and clean. You've got a new latch on the glove box, internal storage compartment. Still got lifetime warranted collet bearing pivots with the grease guard, so you can just pump fresh grease in them in between your DIY pull apart and adjustments. And on this build you've got those reserve lifetime warranted wheels with Industry 9 1.1 hubs, which are a really good, reliable hub set. I mean, Santa Cruz said in their launch video that while they didn't want to, you know, change the bike radically, so, you know, it's half a degree slacker up front, it's a degree steeper in the seat angle, but 5mm more travel at the rear, 10mm more at the front. But oh my god, is it smooth down there, and not just smooth but still really precise and well communicated, but also it's just so well balanced. Now this bike, what I was going to say, they didn't want to make it something it wasn't, and it's still got that real all day trail vibe, even though it is longer travel, slacker, and definitely more capable in like super jank situations like that. But it hasn't lost that kind of involvement, that joy. I often feel intimidated by big bikes now, and to be honest, I've really lost my mojo with this trail recently. But I'm on the pedals again, attacking it in the centre of the bike. Just feels, me and the bike feel great together, but it's still got that cheeky capability to pop the fun lines. I actually said, you know, this bike is deliberately more mature, settled and confident, which sounds like Saga insurance advert. I was concerned it was going to be really, really boring, but far from it. It just lets you get away with doing more silly stuff, but without taking away the excitement of doing it. I just feel like I'm riding better up here than I have in ages, and that's all down to this bike. Happy days on the new Hightower. Phew! Oh, it's a mojo finder. And as well as the handling balance being spot on, the suspension balance now between being able to flow over square edges and chunder while spinning smoothly, but still having that foot to floor connection that helps you pick when to push and when to feather the power. It's absolutely spot on too. And I can vividly remember coming up this section on Hightower V2. It's obviously a lighter bike, steeper angles, but that exact same I wish it would stop pedaling vibe, because I'd flew and had a 24-hour race coming up. I really wanted it to stop so I didn't have to continue torturing myself, and it just wouldn't. But this V4 just wants to keep on trucking regardless. Yes, Hightower. You made that. Don't want to speak too soon. Oh, yeah. That was just the point where I was going to say, you made that really easy. And this XO Axis reserve package is just, oh cheers, thanks a lot, a really good mix of tech where it's needed, and then alloy strength, so you're not worrying too much about clipping a rock. So you got factory Grip X2 fork up front, Float X factory shock at the back. You will take a coil if you want, but definitely works really well with just an air shock in there, so that helps keeps the weight down. T-type transmission, as you'd expect, and then you've got, all right, a big new SRAM Maven brakes, but only with 180mm rotors front and rear, so they're not crazy grabby. They're just really rich and powerful, so you're never short of anchorage, but it's never jackknifing you offline either. And what's remarkable is, compared to the last V3 Hightower with a similar spec, this bike is actually 800 quid cheaper. So it's still a ton of money, because Santa Cruz are a premium brand who spend a lot of time investing back into the biking culture, but it's the best value Hightower in a while. So there you go, that's the Santa Cruz Hightower V4 reviewed in a single ride. And I have to say, I am so happy that this bike still holds on to those kind of core all-rounder principles. Yes, it's definitely more capable, more confident, smoother, faster, safer on descents, whatever, you know, however you want to convey that ability to seriously shred technical downhill trails without any level of terror. This bike has got that in spades now, with the extra travel, with the smoother suspension kinematic, you know, big 29er wheels on it. I mean, it's always had those, but it just feels altogether more settled on the trail. But the thing I'm really delighted about, it's still got that life and that responsiveness and that kind of character and charisma that Santa Cruz have always had in their trail bikes. And it still really responds nicely. I mean, yeah, it's heavier, yeah, it's got a sticky front tyre on, but it's still the right side of properly giving you a positive response when you dig the spurs in, when you try and muscle up technical climbs. It's there for you. It's as keen to get to the top as you are. It's not just sulking about the whole process of gaining altitude. So obviously there's a tech check round on this bike where I can get up close in detail on the spec and angles I haven't mentioned. If there's anything you want to know, any comparisons you want me to make, just ask in the comments. I'll be keeping an eye on those, and I always like to have a good chat in the comments. If you've got any feedback on what Santa Cruz have done with this new Hightower, then I'd absolutely be, you know, I'd absolutely delighted to hear from you, because obviously the more feedback I get from you guys, the more I can refine my reviews. Yeah, I've been doing it a long time, but the world of biking is constantly changing, and this bike reflects that, but without completely turning its back on its ride all day roots. So let me know if you like what Santa Cruz have done with the new Hightower V4, or if you're expecting something different. Because we are, I mean, I can't say, because I've actually been told now officially, it was like the worst kept secret in the industry before that, but there are significant changes coming, at least on the e-bike side, from Santa Cruz. But this bike still maintains that core identity, which I am delighted about. And I think the most telling thing I can say about this bike is I'm really keen to try and get a frame set to build up as a long-termer. And I thought I was done with bikes in this kind of travel category. I thought I just wasn't, well, basically wasn't burly enough, you know, brave enough for them anymore. I thought it was a waste of time me having this much travel, especially if they didn't pedal well. But this has put me right back in the mood for 6 inches of suspension, because it carries it so well on every part of the trail. So massive thanks for watching this far. Give this a thumbs up, like, and tell your mates about it if you can. Click for notifications so when you know when my next video is coming up. Subscribe, please. It's one click for you, but means a huge amount for me in terms of YouTube picking me up and sharing me wider on the algorithm. And obviously it means it keeps you up to date, because there's going to be a ton more content coming. I can't tell you exactly why now, but within a week or so, I'm going to turn the taps fully on the YouTube channel, and I'd love you to be there to see that happen. Massive thanks to my industry supporters who are listed at the start and listed at the end. If you could support those guys when you're shopping, that would be much appreciated by them, and then they will continue to support the channel as well, which is how I justify riding about on my favourite trails and still calling it a job. But for now, I've been Guy Kesterman on Guycast TV, raving about the new Hightower V4. I had high expectations of this Hightower, but it's even better than I expected.